Aristotle's ethics fall into the category that we refer to as virtue ethics, which the classical philosophers were known for. Classical meaning Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Now, before we get to a concise definition of what Aristotle suggested was the way to be virtuous, we need to understand a little background about what went into his thinking. By Nicomachean ethics, we mean that text that was given to us by his students from their notes of what Aristotle had to say on ethics. It has been posited that Nico may have been his son. At any rate, a student, all that we know about Aristotle is taken from notes of students, so it's sometimes is a little bit dry, but it all comes together in a very nice, concise way. Now, Aristotle was big on pointing out what anything's natural objective was, meaning the highest good for any given thing is whatever its final purpose was for. A soccer ball is for playing soccer. An acorn is for becoming an oak tree, so forth. Well, what is the highest good for human beings? For Aristotle, first and foremost, it's flourishing, or as some like to say or interpret from the Greek word eudaimonia, enjoyment or happiness. But flourishing really is the best word because it sort of describes coming into what one naturally is meant to be in the most successful way. But also as human beings, our capacity to reason. This is what distinguishes us from much of the rest of the animal kingdom, is our ability to reason. So those two things are together what form our natural objective, our highest good in life. Now he points out that all virtues are virtues of moderation. What does he mean by that? Well, he refers to what he calls the golden mean. The word mean in the sense of the median or middle ground, not mean in the sense of unkind, but mean in the statistical sense almost, that which represents moderation or the middle road. So for instance, if we're talking about the virtue of courage, then courage is actually the mean between two extremes. Well, of course, we know what one extreme of courage is, that which is commonly known as cowardice, right? But what would be the opposite of that? In other words, if cowardice is a lack of courage, what is too much courage? Well, that would be being foolhardy or reckless. Okay? So courage is actually the middle ground between the two. And that all virtues are going to be the same way, at least for Plato. So in his ethics, human flourishing is rational activity in accordance with virtue. So to be ethical, you need to employ rationality in life, activity, he says. It's not just a thought process. It's something that you practice, and you become an ethical person with practice by making sure that your actions are always aimed at virtue, meaning that middle place between extremes. And that's what forms the ethical character. Ethos is from the word, meaning character. That is, in broad strokes, Aristotle's Ethics.